Welcome back to the Health Revival Show. Today we have Dane Johnson, the founder and CEO of Crohn's Colitis Lifestyle and Holistic Nutrition.
Mhm.
Really excited to have you on the show. Just had another great episode a few weeks back talking about Crohn's colitis and it's something that I'm seeing more and more of in terms of
Mhm.
people are on their way to this and they don't even know it. So I'm just really excited for you to share your story, which is so crazy. So welcome to the
Yeah.
show, Dane. Give everybody just a little bit of information on you. Obviously, if they want to see your full story, pictures and everything, social media
Yeah.
and your website has a lot of pictures and stuff.
Well, first off, thanks for having me. And anyone out there listening who's dealing with severe gut health issues or really just autoimmune chronic disease, I dedicate this time to you. Healing is possible. We're going to get massive results today. We're going to dive into the real juice of what you can take away and do today. It is not lost. This is not the end. IBD is not the end. Thanks for being here. Let's get massive results.
Yeah.
So I just like to start with that affirmation and just say, like, let's do it. Let's really, I've been doing this for 15 years and I had a life-threatening case of Crohn's colitis. I couldn't just heal being carnivore or eating 500 bananas a day. I did intermittent fasting. I worked with naturopath doctors. I did regular fasting. I made my own yogurts. I, would only eat very, very specific for long periods of time, months, years at a time. And I was just getting worse. So I was one of those cases where nothing seemed to work. There was nothing I could do about it. And every book I was reading back in 2009, 10, 11, 12, just wasn't working for me. It said it was working for others, the SED diet, specific carbohydrate diet, the carnivore diet, the fruitarian diet, the intermittent fasting, I was doing all of this, but the root issues were never discovered until later. And what really got to me is my doctors had never talked about any of the things that I later used to recover my life. So there was a bit of anger and what is going on? And why didn't we talk about this at Cedars-Sinai or UCLA or Mayo Clinic? Why didn't we do these non-invasive tests? Why didn't we discuss things like Candida or viral load or bacteria, parasites, which we're going to dive into today? But that was really one of the reasons I got so sick is even 15 years ago, what was on the internet, the types of podcasts like this where we could get trained, where we could have those aha moments, where we could connect wasn't there. But also the epidemic of Crohn's colitis wasn't nearly as high as it is now. So just for everyone's understanding, the evidence suggests from 1999 in the United States, the amount of people diagnosed, give or take, was about 1 million. And within about 15 years, 2015, it hit 2 million. And that's just what people had been diagnosed, just Crohn's colitis. That's not the other forms. That's not the IBS. That's not the undiagnosed. We don't know what this is. That's not the proctitis, the microscopic colitis, the gastritis, all the other issues in the GI tract. So, I was really in that area where it was pain to purpose. I was a kid. Had my first symptoms of blood in the stool at 19 years old. And by 23, I had full blown ulcerative colitis. And the crazy thing about this is I was then diagnosed with Crohn's disease. It's like, wait a minute, I thought I had ulcerative colitis. No, the doctors couldn't agree. The doctors kept saying, no, you got ulcerative colitis with gastritis. That's not Crohn's up there. That's just gastritis. Okay, great. Next doctor. No, you have widespread Crohn's disease. Okay, so I have IBD. We have that down. Okay, my gut is screwed up. Okay, we all agree? I have chronic inflammation in the bowel and we don't know what causes it. Everyone agree? Everyone agree? That's what I have here. Okay. And so it was going, and I was going to the best doctors thinking, oh, this will fix it. I'm going to fly to Florida and go to the Mayo Clinic and see this doctor. It's like, Remicade, prednisone, and antibiotics. Okay, let's see what the UCLA says. No, we're going to put you on Entyvio, methotrexate, and some antibiotics. It's like, okay. And so everyone was saying the same thing, that there was no root cause. Diet didn't matter. There was nothing I could do about it. And when you go home with that, and I know a lot of people are relating, you go home and you go, okay, I'm getting these infusions. I'm taking some steroids. Now what? Well, just wait and pray it works. It's like, that's not good enough for us. There's got to be more. Doctor, what if I change my diet? Is gluten bad? I heard gluten's bad. I heard alcohol's bad. No, there's no correlation. Well, doc, how come every time I eat these foods, I get bloated, crampy, gassy? Even people without IBD, right? I get bloated. I get crampy. I get headaches. My skin reacts. I get diarrhea. I get foul smelling gas. I get arthritic pains. You're telling me there's no correlation? I know there's a correlation. And that's why a lot of us are listening right now. It's obvious. And so I remember this one time before I went to the doctor, I just didn't eat for about a day and a half. And I started tracking my symptoms, and I was going to the bathroom an average of 20 times a day. So I didn't eat for a day and a half. The next day, I only went to the bathroom 10. So I was looking at that. That's a 50% reduction in bowel movements. What do you mean there's no correlation? Well, you can't, Dane, you can't just not eat. I know, but there's some kind of parameter here, right? The needle does move. And I noticed same things with prayer, purpose, grounding, sunlight. I noticed that there was all of a sudden, there was something I could do about it. I didn't know how to properly do it. It wasn't working perfectly. And even when I tried all those things, by the time I was 26, I nearly died of complications of Crohn's colitis after already going back to natural medicine school, trying famous diets, buying out Whole Foods, every supplement you can imagine, right? You go to Dr. Google, I'm buying the fish oil, I'm buying BioK, I'm buying a activated charcoal. Sure, that sounds good. Throw that in there. I'm buying a NAC, heard this NAC stuff helps, and all of a sudden I'm on 500 supplements. Nothing's getting better. I've tried every diet and I'm fighting for my life. When I say fighting for my life, in December of 2014, I was on TPN feeding tube. I no longer ate. I was on infused 200 milligrams of prednisone. I was on 3 grams of Dilaudid for the pain. So that's about the strongest dose you could take for like a dying cancer patient, let's say. It's 7 times stronger than morphine. And I was on the highest dose they could give you. So I hit a button and I basically got legal heroin daily to fly high as a kite, because I was in that hospital for about 5 weeks straight. I didn't leave. So my dad flew in, my mom flew in, my sisters flew in. My big sister and my mom took turns sleeping on the ground of the hospital, because I would get all this pain through the night, and they'd take this bedpan, put it under my butt, a little blood, a little water would come out, throw it away, and they would just stay with me through the night. So this went on for weeks. And in December of 2014, I nearly passed away from those complications. They couldn't figure out what was going on with me. So I was also on, I think, 3 or 4 different antibiotics, because usually when it was a severe case, they're thinking it's some kind of infection, right? You have all this inflammation, you have low stomach acid, you eat something, you get E. coli, you get C. diff. When you're on a lot of these immunosuppressants and a lot of antibiotics, you're more susceptible to other infections, much like many chronic diseases. And so they're giving me everything, and the urgent doctor couldn't figure it out. So my main doctor, her name was Mom, was calling every single doctor I had seen in the last 10 years. What's going on? What's going on? These guys can't figure it out. Our insurance sucks. We're not at a great hospital. What do we do this? What do we do that? And there was this one doctor in Florida who my mom called. And he had said that he had stained for a virus back like 3 years ago. And he, in one sample, because in colonoscopies, they take multiple samples. In one sample, he found cytomegalovirus. Okay. This is when you have a severely suppressed immune system, people with cancers or AIDS are a good example, that this virus can kill you. My body had gotten so sick and so weak. I had gotten this virus my body was reacting intensely to it, and it was spreading through my body. The antibiotics were making it worse. See, your microbiome is part of your immune system that strengthens your body's defenses. So I'm not eating food. They're putting sucrose and dextrose and all this nasty stuff right into a feeding tube. I'm on multiple antibiotics, destroying my gut, which is my only last defense against this. And it's just getting worse and worse until I'm nearly dead. And it was then that the doctor said, we don't know if he's going to live through the night. The doctor in Florida got on the phone with the urgent care doctor, told him his theory about the viral load. They called my insurance, which wouldn't cover the antiviral chemotherapy. They said, this kid's going to die if you don't take it. They gave me a sample. The sample was like $5,000. The medication was, I think, over 40 or 50,000. And so they gave me a sample, and I woke up the next day. So I had been out for about 3 or 4 days. My mom, I don't remember this. My mom said I was talking to my non-born, non-existent sister in a window. Like I was hallucinating. Mm-hmm. And I woke up, I became conscious. All of a sudden I could start having conversation again. I had been out for about 5 to 7 days before that. And this is 5 weeks into being in the hospital. I went from about 185, 190 pounds down to 122 pounds. And I lost the ability to eat, all those bowel movements. I lost the ability to walk, because when you don't get out of a bed for a month straight and you lose that much weight and your body starts eating itself, you're going to have such muscle atrophy that you can't flex your foot. So they had these machines that would massage my legs because I wasn't walking anymore. And so I couldn't walk to the bathroom. I had to wheelchair over there and have someone help me move over. And then having a bowel movement was kind of like pooping out glass. Just take glass, break it, put it in your colon and try to poop it out. And it was humiliating. It was shameful. And this is after I had already been studying natural medicine, right? I had gotten some results doing some carnivore and it really did help me with certain things, like Candida overgrowth was one of my root issues as well. That's another thing we talk about. When you have a severe case of autoimmune or chronic disease or gut issues, it's not one issue. Okay, big breakthrough. There is no one root cause. It's root causes, always. Always. Everything works in a circle. Everything is connected. Okay. And if you have one infection, you more likely have another, because it's the environment that allows for these overgrowths, for these infections to take place. Like I commonly see Candida overgrowth with viral load chronic reactivation. So we go in and we take the antivirals. I check myself out of the hospital about 5 days later. The doctor's looking at me like, "What are you doing? You crazy?" I go, "You can't help me. What am I going to do in here? I'm stuck with these fluorescent lights, EMFs everywhere. I feel terrible. You're giving me Jello. This isn't working out. Like, there's nothing more I can do." Right. And there was a lot of pain. The whole family just felt like the bill was getting higher. We were not a wealthy family. We just felt I was going to be better at home. So I went home and I was on Entyvio, methotrexate, 60 milligrams of prednisone orally. I was on painkillers, Ambient, and was tapering off some of those antibiotics. And then I was bedridden for 3 months. And then where I could walk, I could move a little bit, but someone had to be there. So my big sister and my mom took turns sleeping on my couch in my little Santa Monica apartment to take care of me. And it took me about a little less than a year to actually get back to the world. So within 6 months, I'm kind of walking, I'm outside, I'm riding a little bit of a bike. 10 months, I'm starting to work a little bit, but the great thing, the benefit of that is while I was home, I just spent 40 hours a week studying functional medicine and inflammatory bowel disease and working with my naturopath professor. So I was dedicated. People said, "What do you do for a year?" I'm like, "Well, I live in Santa Monica. I'm outside gardening. I'm doing prayer and purpose. I'm grounding. I'm researching mitochondria energy and drainage pathways and how the liver works in phase 1, phase 2 detoxification. I'm reading about cytokines and Th1, Th2. I'm reading about the mucosal membrane and, dendritic cells. And I'm just, that's all I did. I started reading about 4 hours a day. And I was running all this by all these naturopath doctors I had made friends with or I was being taught by. And I just dedicated my life. And the crazy thing is, within a year, I was 183 pounds. I was off every single medication. I avoided any surgeries. I was told I needed a total colectomy multiple times. I never got surgery. I weaned myself off prednisone, Entyvio, methotrexate without my doctor's permission. Don't do that. Speak with your doctor. This is not medical advice. Okay. I was like Captain Jack Sparrow of the IBD. Okay. So and I wouldn't, even if I was advised myself, I wouldn't do it the same. I learned a lot. This is 2014. If I was even talking to me, I'd say, "Slow your roll, kid. You don't know what you're doing." And I paid for it a little bit, but I was just very aggressive. And I had something in my mind I want to really give everyone permission to have. I was never meant to be sick. I don't identify as a sick person. I am empowered as a CEO of my health to change my life, change my reality, and that healing is possible. And I can use everything combined to get the life I want. I can use conventional, I can use Ayurvedic, I can use traditional Chinese, I can use integrative medicine. It does not matter. I'm going to build my plan, not the plan. I am going to be my own best answer. I'm going to stop being a victim. When my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, my significant other calls me, I'm going to tell them what's good, not what's wrong. I am going to act healed before I am healed. I'm going to believe it before I see it. That's what it takes. What is it like to be stuck in a corner where you're dying and no one can help you? You've been every best doctor. You've got to realize the ultimate truth. You are the answer. Until you get off your knees and you become the CEO of your health, you take full accountability and responsibility for your health and become the leader of your life, your happiness, your physical, mental, spiritual. You live in a box of being a victim of it. And that was me for 4 or 5 years. And we were spending the first year, I come from a middle-class family. The first year we spent about $30,000 on uninsurable costs, medications, flying around the country, hotels, flights, different doctors, different naturopaths, buying out Whole Foods. I remember this doctor wanted us to run a bunch of labs. I didn't really understand. It was like $2,000. just for that. That's not even including hotel and flight and what my insurance wouldn't cover with mesalamine or Canasa or these different biologics that they wanted to use. And so when you realize that, when you change your mind and say, I can be happy even though my gut's not perfect, I can still laugh. I think something that really changed my life, guys, and I want everyone to really write this down, okay? Healing starts in the mind. You have to start with your mindset to heal. Is I realized that I still had my mom. How many people have lost their mom? How many people would choose IBD to have that loved one back? How many people would say, give me this disease, not my kids? Give me this disease, not my sister or my brother. Give it to me. There was such a paradigm I could choose to say, I have my tongue, I have my eyes, I have my ears, I have my life, I have my family, I have the sun, I have God, I have the earth. I live in Santa Monica. Like, there's so many things. And so I started choosing happiness. And my nervous system changed. The communication to my cells changed. It got so much easier to be gluten-free. Before I'm looking at a clock like, oh God, how many days have I been gluten-free now? 12? I can't keep this up. Who invented this? So truth is a perspective. Write that down. It's your truth. It's your perspective. And you can find happiness is not wrapped up in materialism and whether you can go to Denny's or not. There's so much more to happiness. It is human connection. It is connection to the earth. It's connection to self. It's the sun. It's the ground. It's the wind. It's the air. It's people. It's not wrapped up in your social life.
Yeah. I mean, you can just end the podcast there. I don't know. I mean, I feel like, but the story is such a powerful one. And obviously, podcasting is storytelling. And I don't know, it's probably up there top 5 or 10 of like, we've done close to 1,000 podcasts and your story is incredible.
Thank you.
And so thank you for sharing that. I can't imagine the mental aspect of what you went through, but I love how you spun it in terms of it's you. It's your control. And we talk to women all day, every day. And when I hear someone say, I'm asking like, what's wrong? What are you experiencing? It's like, well, I was diagnosed with this in 2014 and I, have Hashimoto's, I have colitis, I have, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you've taken that on as an identity and you've lived with that identity for 7 years. And that's a reason that we have not seen probably the improvement. And I cannot emphasize enough what you just said in terms of how you approach the mindset aspect of healing is the make or break, 100%. You can have the perfect plan. You can have all of the testing. You can have all of it. But if you do not believe that you are meant to be well, that your body is meant to heal, that you are capable of healing, we ain't getting anywhere. Like it's not going to happen.
I want to give everyone a little bit of tangible on that because that's true. Everything is true. But when you're sick, that would have drove me nuts to hear. How am I? Okay, I'm believing. Look at the crime scene in the toilet. What do you want me to believe? Right? So I can almost feel the anger of me sitting here for 4 or 5 years getting no results. None. Like I'm the case that nothing works for, right? People did this diet. You hear online someone reviewing that they changed their life with carnivore, they changed their life with SED or low FODMAP. And it's like belief. Belief is an elusive thing. Belief is not something you decide. It's something you earn. That's the mistake. You have to earn it. Okay. You can't just wake up and say, fine, I believe. It doesn't work. That's called faith. Faith plus hard work equals belief. Now you have to understand energy. To create belief, you have to have energy in balance. You ever sit down and argue with someone within 10 minutes, you're exhausted? You're like, I can't even be here anymore. Like, I'm so frustrated with you. I need to leave it. The energy coming at you is so taxing, so negative, so unfulfilling that it literally drives you mad. You have to understand how energy works. The people who are chronically sick, who are just stuck into this, the energy they're experiencing is that conversation all day long. They are stuck getting punched in the face by negative energy. You have to become aware. The biggest word I want you to understand to change your life if you've been chronically sick and not getting results, the biggest, most important word is aware. Because awareness is the most important ingredient to creating belief or changing your life. You have to become aware of the energy I'm feeding myself. For instance, when I was sick, I'd wake up, I wouldn't get ready for the day. And then I would just say, how do I pass the time while I'm on this crappy diet? See, that energy is not good. So now I'm binging Netflix. Now I don't get dressed for the day. I don't look like myself. I don't feel confident in myself. I'm gaining anxiety about seeing other people. I'm anxiety about leaving the house. When I decided to heal and I decided to create and work hard for belief, I woke up, I put on Bob Marley. I prayed every single morning, and then I got dressed for the day. I started shaving. Even if you're sick, I wasn't going anywhere. I'm getting dressed. Stop walking around like you're already a victim. Get ready for the day. Look, be your best self. Practice being your best self. Say words of affirmation. Call someone, make their day better. You have to experience positive energy to get yourself back in balance. If you were someone who's chronically sick and they said, I've been sick for 10 years and I'm depressed and I'm anxious and nothing gets better, I would say, when's the last time you laughed hard? When's the last time you gave yourself permission to have any kind of comical relief? When's the last time you just told someone how much you love them and helped them? When's the last time you helped somebody else? Instead of just being a victim stuck in the mud, like I can't do anything for the world. Part of the depression is we're no longer valuable for everyone else. We're bloodsuckers against everyone we love, right? You're so sick, you don't want to call your mom anymore because you don't want to make her feel bad. You're so sick, you don't want to call your friend anymore. You start pushing everyone away. Now the depression gets worse because now you're isolated, because human energetic balance has to get to give. What's the worst thing you can do to a human? They're already in prison. What's the worst thing? Confinement. Isolated confinement. You take a murderer, you give him life prison. The worst thing you do is you remove him from everyone else. Humans need connection. So what I want you to do is start getting aware. Remember that word. You have to get aware of how energy works, and you have to start feeding yourself positivity and love every day. So when I started properly healing, I'm journaling on what my symptoms are every day. So Dr. Dane, talk to Dane about 5 minutes twice a day and put his ass in line. All right. You get it together. Stop eating the grapefruit. It's not helping you. Okay. That was actually one of my lines back then. The grapefruit. Cause I was like, oh God, it's low sugar. It's a low sugar fruit. I could do this. Nope, you can't. Stop eating the grapefruit. Hang it up, dude. So I'd talk to myself like that in a journal for comical relief. I always started the day with opening the curtains. I always made my bed. I lived in a clean house. A dirty house for me, if I'm not sick, makes me anxious. I don't like a dirty house. So one of the first things I did is I cleaned my entire house when I changed my life. Just clean your house. Start journaling. Be Dr. You for you. 5 minutes a day and give your notes. Don't think about what you have to do for the rest of your life. Just plan something 7 days out. You see how much better that is for your energy? Like, I'm just going to do this for 7 days and then see how it looks. And then go outside. If you sit under lights all day long and a TV, you're going to feel, you could take the healthiest person and give them 10 hours of TV binging. They're not going to feel that great. You expect you're any different? Go outside, go for a walk. I couldn't leave the house without 2 pairs of underwear. So my first goal was I had to calm my nervous system and tell my gut, it's okay, you're calm, okay? Like the feeling of going to the bathroom for someone who's sick is the feeling of disease, okay? So if you guys feel like you have to poop, anyone with severe gut health issues, that's the feeling that their disease is back. That's the cancer growing. That's the pain. That's the inflammation. That's the demon knocking on the door. Just the feeling of going to the bathroom. That's how bad the trauma is. Calm down that trauma. Realize it's just a feeling. Your body's saying it wants to release some toxins. Release some bowel movement. Release some old fecal matter, right? And then be able to just move, right? Just be able. My first goal was to be able to walk around my house. Right? Just walk around the house. But I'd be listening to Tony Robbins. I'd be listening to Joe Dispenza. I'd be listening to Jordan Rubin. I'd be listening. And after a while, I didn't even need to listen about Crohn's colitis specific. I just listened about spiritual healing. I'd just be listening about manifestation or recovery or attraction. I'd be listening about the beautiful stories of Jesus or the stories of like how other people in life ever succeeded. I just filled my mind with positivity. So here's something you want to become aware of. You can't read something positive and think about your problems at the exact same time. Think about it. If I read for 20 minutes straight and I don't lose my spot on the page, all you're doing is all your body, all your spirit, all your nervous system is getting is solution, positivity, what's possible, positivity, solution for 20 minutes a day. You do that for 20 or 30 minutes a day, watch your mind get stronger, right? You lift a weight, your arm gets stronger, right? You lift a solution mentally, your mind gets stronger. You've got to get aware of the energy that's going inside, and you've got to battle it back with positivity. And the more you do that, the easier it's going to be to eat restrictively, to only eat what you cooked. Like I went from working at Papa John's for 15 years to only eating what I cooked for about 93 days straight. I didn't touch a thing that I didn't make. How hard is that? If you really think about it, right? How hard is it just to say, I'm only going to eat what I cook? Forget the perfect diet. You're stuck on diet. You don't know what to do. I want you to make a commitment to yourself. I want you to only eat what you cook for 90 days. And I almost guarantee you're going to feel better. Because you're intuitively going to go, that caused a little, you're going to know the white rice, the starches cause a little bloating, or the skin of the apple didn't sit as well, or I obviously can't do salads yet. I'm not ready for that roughage and that raw food. Oh, I think I felt pretty good with that rotisserie chicken and avocado and maybe some pressure cooked sweet potato. But I feel better if it's only a handful, maybe not 8 ounces. Maybe it's too much of that. Intuition. God gave you the ability to look, touch, and taste food, and you intuitively know what you want. Right? You go to a picnic, you pick this, Why? How did you know how much you wanted? You could smell an apple and go, that one's not good. You can taste it. No, that one's not good. We forgot our divine ability, our intuitive nature of how we can heal ourselves when we tap into our own body and stop allowing outside forces to dictate what's possible for us. That's what you're getting rid of. You're getting rid of the noise. I have a chronic disease for the rest of my life. That is noise. That is debilitating trauma. My body was not meant to be sick. And everything I do, everything I feel, everything I eat matters. And I don't care about the diagnosis. I care about the symptoms right here. I'm at 10 bowel movements a day. My bloating is an 8 out of 10 bad. My skin is an 8 out of 10. If I can get it to a 5, I can get it to a 3. 1 being the best, 10 being the worst. So if you can get 20% symptom relief, can you get 40? Can you get 60? And maybe there's just limiting beliefs around that. So that's going to be really important when you start. Healing starts in the mind. Get aware of the energy and balance it. You have to give yourself a reason to laugh, to smile, to love. And the best way to do it, the thing that's going to help with depression the most, is be of value to others. I had a cane. And I'd be sitting there talking to grandma. I'll tell you a funny story. I'm at the gym, right? I'm trying to get back in the gym. I cannot walk. I used to bench press 315 pounds at 6% body fat. Okay. That was the ego Dane. The new Dane has got a cane. Like he's a beard, long hair. And I decided, okay, I'm going to go to the gym, not because I can lift, because I just want to get out of my house and it would make me feel better. Energy, right? I'm aware of what I need. There was a personal trainer working out a woman who must have been 75 or older. She was going and doing a lap of machines. I could not do the weight she was doing. So grandma would leave the back row machine and I would take the weight and make it lighter and say, nice reps, grandma. But you see, I would laugh. I would be laughing in my head. I had to find a way to let it go. That's the awareness I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know, my mom would call me and she'd go, what are you doing in a gym? I'm like, don't worry. I'm just walking around the gym. Like I'm just here. I'm going to walk home, after So anyways.
Say like one word that summarizes everything that you just talked about is environment.
Yes.
So I'm just thinking about, like you said, like my physical environment needs to be clean. I need to get up and put myself, I'm acting as if I'm already healed, right? I'm getting dressed. I'm acting as if I feel good. I'm getting sunlight, all these things. But then you're surrounding yourself in other environments, whether it was at home, you're setting that up perfectly, or out at the gym or wherever. You're thinking about environment. And so there's that internal environment with your mental, emotional state, spiritual state as well, and then the external environment. So if everybody wants to summarize this, and I would say really sit down and write down, what is it that you need to change in your environment? Who is it that you need to change in your environment? Because we do deal with a lot of chronic illness in our practice. And a big thing that comes up over and over is trauma and nervous system regulation. And sometimes it's a lot. Like, let's just be honest. We can all sit here and say, you have been through this, and it is a lot to do all the things, right? That you're saying here, right? I'm doing the supplements, I'm doing the diet, I'm cooking my own food, I am at that point in time, not a dad to two children and other
Yes.
things that maybe you have in your life. And then you're asking the person to do all this other work, which is really hard work on top of, just what you're putting in terms of nutrition. So I just think that that would be a good moment there just to call out, write down the word environment, write down that word aware that he said, and then ask yourself in all the different environments that you go into, what needs to change? Because I think there would be a big shift just from doing exactly what you're saying here, reframing, right? Telling yourself things, saying, I'm not born sick. God did not make me sick. I
Yep.
am able to heal. And it'll take you some time. Like Becca and I have talked about this. I think for some individuals, you kind of feel like you're lying to yourself in the beginning because you
That's
don't,
fun.
you're acting with faith as if you're already healed, but you don't necessarily believe yet.
Yes.
Right?
That's exactly what it is. Faith. It's okay. Walk in faith. Belief is earned. And you just have to earn it through faith and hard work. You said it right. The next step that's going to change your life, you've got to make I refer to what you were saying called the daily blueprint. I'm overwhelmed with being on this diet and these supplements for the rest of my life, but I can do this for today. Your day has to be something you can be consistent with that's more valuable than perfection. I want you to take this idea of the perfect supplements, the perfect diet, the perfect environment, and I want you to sub it out for consistency. How does it match what you do with the kids, with your work, with your needs in your life? Some things are going to really help you. I want you to do 80% of your plan. Your goal is 80% of what you do is the first hour or two in the morning and the first hour or two at night. And I want you to leave your middle of your days open, like brushing your teeth. Build your plan around brushing your teeth. So if I go to bed on time and I wake up, I might be able to get in an Epsom salt bath and I can do some meditation or I can do some nervous system regulation with that bath. That magnesium will calm down that pain, calm down that arthritic pain, help loosen up any tissue to help me excrete that full bowel movement, make sure you know what you're doing. Okay, I can also maybe read in that bath a little bit, or I could just go outside. I can change it up based on how I'm feeling. I can wake up and I can have, when I cook, I always cooked at least 3 meals at one time. So I had more consistency and I didn't get overwhelmed. Getting overwhelmed is the death of success. Okay. I want you to be consistent more than I want you to be perfect. The more you practice this, once you start getting some return on energy, ROE, once you start seeing, wait, I actually think this is helping. What is actually going to help you get better? Okay. I feel like this binder, a bentonite clay, is maybe helping. I feel like this elemental shake I'm pureeing at home that takes 5 minutes to make is more bioavailable. It's reducing an inflammatory response. And I feel like I have more energy with it. Okay. So once you get that, your spirit's going to start yearning for more. You're going to want to read more, not have to read more. You're going to want to try to more, not have to do more. But until your body starts loving it and your spirit starts seeing that ROE, you're going to feel like it's a little bit of weight on your back. You're lugging up a mountain. So what feels good to you? What feels good to eat? What gets you in balance? And if something's too hard, I want you to bring it to your practitioner, the team, the community that you're working with and say, this feels too hard. How can I simplify this for success? That's the daily blueprint. And once you do it, like I had a really hard time getting rid of gluten because I grew up on it, and alcohol because that's all I did with the boys in college, right? And so it was, how do I don't have to get rid of this forever. I'm just going to do this 30 days and then I'm going to see where I'm at. So I got rid of this idea that I had to be Mr. Bubble Boy who could never do anything for the rest of my life. That's trauma. So simplify. I'm just going to do this for 2 weeks. I do this with a lot of the kids I work with, like teenagers in high school and stuff. Just give me 2 weeks. And I look to build a plan where they're going to start seeing that blood go down, that energy go up, maybe some weight gain, their skin get better. And then what's going to happen is they're going to start naturally yearning for it. So I want you to try to find a way that you can get some ROE, that you can actually shift and build belief. Because until you start to see some results, you're not going to get the belief. Okay. So you've got to see a result. Where does the rubber meet the road? That needs to be customized to you. Don't follow a generic plan. Customize it. See, when I was on the fruitarian diet and I was eating 500 bananas a day, I was going nuts. It was helping to clear my colon out. It had certain benefits, fruit, okay, monosaccharides versus polysaccharides. But I was losing weight. I had no energy. I was getting chronic diarrhea and I was already underweight. Then I went on the carnivore diet. The problem with the carnivore diet is I couldn't break down the fats. I couldn't, and my colon was so inflamed, I couldn't properly poop that out. So I'd get worse hemorrhoids, I'd get worse cramping, and I'd have multiple bowel movements trying to get that ground beef or that steak out of me. Plus, it was a little bit more danger of how I cooked it on those high temperatures. And I had low stomach acid and I had low bile production. All core problems, gut health. You have gut health issues, I'm almost certain your liver's a problem, your microbiome's a problem, your bioproduction, pancreatic enzymes are a problem, your stomach acid's a problem. Almost everyone with IBS or IBD, guaranteed, okay? So I couldn't break that down properly. So I started mixing and customizing an elemental diet with some specific fruits in the morning. I had only ground meats in the middle of the day. I never did harsh steaks. I couldn't handle them. So I did low temperature grounded meat that was cheaper, easier to cook. I could cook a ton of time. And I was also less likely to be undercooked where I'd get an infection because I was more likely to get E. coli and other things with that certain GI tract. And then I would start figuring out if I needed a snack or not, right? So I customized 2 different polar opposite nutrition plans for myself that I had already tried and were working for me. So my answer is listen to your intuition, start tweaking it, listen to your body, okay? Really customize that. And then if you can be consistent with that for just 2 or 3 weeks, I think if you do it right, you're going to get some ROE, and then you're going to say, give me more. Give me the peptides. Give me the parasite cleanse. Give me the detox. Give me the castor oil pack at night. Give me the EFT tapping. I'll stand on my head if I have to. Don't worry about it, right? So your spirit starts opening this up. You start becoming a believer in what you can do, and it's your plan, not someone else's plan for you. Ownership. This is my plan. It has to make sense for me. Own it. If you don't agree, you tell that doctor, you tell that naturopath, you say, this isn't going to work for me. And you also say, here's another rule of thumb. Do not take a supplement that you cannot give me 2 to 3 sentences on what it does and why you are personally taking it. I see too many people with these doctors aren't taking time to tell them this is simple, this is what this is. And then people are just walking away, just taking 15 capsules and they have no clue what any of it does. And without that, you can't control it, okay? And the last thing I want to say that's really important is I know you're after the symptom relief, but the golden goose you're looking for with natural medicine is not just the symptom relief. That's the second biggest value. The first biggest value is to become self-empowered. If you do not understand what you're paying for in the training, why I'm eating this way, why I'm taking supplements, why I'm trying these biohacking therapies, if you cannot give me 2 to 3 sentences, you're not getting training and you're not getting empowered for the long run. Adversity can strike for any of us at any given time in life. The cure for all disease is the ability to respond to adversity, not eradicate it. So getting rid of symptoms does not guarantee you get rid of anything in the future. Just like marriage. Just because you fell in love doesn't mean you'll be in love forever. Just because you fixed your back doesn't mean your back will be fixed forever. Nothing is guaranteed. You cannot eradicate adversity. So the goal right now is to get self-empowered. So if something happens, you can respond to it. That's the number one thing you want from natural medicine. Get empowered, get trained. The second thing is get something that actually works, get the symptom relief, get the freedom. So realize, do those things, build your plan. And if it doesn't make sense, ask more questions and write it down. You got to be accountable. If you write 2 or 3 sentences, what is N-acetylcysteine and why do I want to use it? Right? What is mastic gum? What's H. pylori? What's the problem with it? Why do I need to treat it? Right.
We're giving all of our clients quizzes after this podcast now.
Oh.
You guys, they will never leave you. Guys, I have something called Solving Supplements, okay? So I have a presentation called Solving Supplements, and the homework is you have to write which category it is. So if you look at supplements and you walk into a Whole Foods, you should be able to pick up any supplement and tell me what category it is. The 5 categories, okay? Mucosal healers, this is specifically for the gut. Mucosal healers, probiotics, antipathogens, supportive supplements, and binders. Okay. So every single supplement fits into this. Like a vitamin D is supportive. Think of FedEx. Think of the post office. See, we got to simplify it. Okay. Mm-hmm. Why am I taking vitamin D? Why am I taking K? Why am I taking N-acetylcysteine, a precursor to glutathione, which helps with the liver detoxification? Massive problem with gut health issues. Okay. Why am I taking a probiotic? How do I know it works? What else could be in the probiotics? Maybe I'm taking short chain fatty acid butyrate. Maybe I'm taking, S. boulardii, Saccharomyces boulardii. Maybe I'm taking colostrum. That's all a category of beneficial bacteria. Maybe I'm taking a prebiotic like acacia fiber. Maybe so. If I can start to categorize it, now it makes sense. And what I do metaphorically is I teach people how to see it like a city. Okay, anti-inflammatories. Right? Imagine you're this is Gotham and the Joker's taking over the Lower East Side. All right, we need to fix the city. Okay, the city of bacteria, the 30 feet of the GI tract. Okay, well, I have my police officers. Those are your probiotics. I have my mucosa healers. Those are my medics and firefighters. Put out the fire. Okay, help revive the police officers. I have my anti-pathogens. That's my SWAT team. If you send a SWAT team into the city, is there a good chance that there could be some friendly fire or some of your own buildings might get destroyed if you send the army?
Mm-hmm.
That's Herxheimer reaction. That's wild oregano, berberine, grapeseed extract, biocidin, mimosa pudica, all this stuff, right? So you need to know that. And then your supportive supplements, right? Your post office, your FedEx, they transfer information. They help support the city to work properly. The nervous system is the electrical grid of the city. Lights are out. I don't care what you're taking. You can't send messages. You need electricity. At the nervous system, we have to engage the parasympathetic. The autonomic nervous system has two parts, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. We need the parasympathetic engaged to also regulate what? The vagal nerve, which regulates digestion. So when you're stressed and you get bloating and you get cramping, that's a vicious cycle. That's beyond supplements. That's the big part of the nervous system. That's why you have to choose a healing response. That's why you have to get your mind to signal, I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm healed, I'm laughing, I'm enjoying, I'm hugging, I am valuable to this world. That's all the opposite of depression. You talk to someone who's depressed, they don't feel valuable, they feel isolated, they don't feel connected, no one else can relate with them, right? That's all the energy of the energetic prison. And you have to energetically make a key and let yourself out. But it's hard work and it feels really, really hard. It feels terrible. So that's that daily blueprint. And that's how you start solving supplements. And then another big one is you got to get rid of the diet. Long term, it's really traumatizing to say, I have to be paleo for the rest of my life. So I built something called food philosophy. My goal is to look at any plate of food and assess its risk for my personal case. Meaning, what do all the famous diets have in common? What's
entire food groups or types of food?
Exactly. So the biggest mistake and the falsity of famous diets is they say this food is bad, this whole food made by God is bad, and this one is good. That is the biggest misconception and lie. The stronger your gut gets, the more you can handle certain foods. A baby does not have IBD, but a baby cannot have a salad. Will a baby eventually be able to have a salad when the GI tract gets strong enough? A baby cannot have a raw almond. A baby cannot have an apple, but it can have applesauce. If you have an injured gut, you have to rebuild it so it can handle more variety of food. It's not that you're allergic. It's that your system can't handle it. It's like having a bad knee and saying that running's good for you. Yeah, there's lots of science that says running's good for you, but you've got a bad knee and you run on it, it's going to get worse. You can quote me all the clinical research you want. You've got a bum knee. We've got a bum gut. We've got poor digestion. We've got a messed up microbiome. We've got chronic leaky gut, okay? And we have a weakened mucosal membrane making the immune system more reactive, okay? We have tons of lipopolysaccharides and endotoxin released from that dysbiosis and Candida overgrowth that's constantly releasing die-off that's getting into the blood vessels of the gut lining. And where those blood vessels lead? All roads lead to the liver, which is constantly having to eliminate these endotoxins, which is causing a stagnant liver, is causing low glutathione, it's causing metabolic endotoxemia. We're getting tired, we're getting fatigued, we can no longer detox anymore. That's also affecting our bile production because the liver uses bile to grab toxins and move them out of the liver, through the bile ducts, dump them into the duodenum, where they originally were in the first place. So you have this chronic toxin load that your body can't get rid of. That's the benefit of fibers, of certain fibers when you're ready. That's the benefit of binders. That's the benefit of beneficial bacteria. That's the benefit of reducing loads of SIBO, SIFO, Candida, all these things. Because anyone with gut health issues is going to have bacteria overgrowth. I think you said it earlier. SIBO is BS, I think you said, right?
IBS, yeah.
It's a state of the gut.
I think that on the topic, I did a presentation on this in Dallas, and I've really become a little bit more passionate regarding SIBO and the gut-liver connection. I don't believe you can heal SIBO if you don't look at the gut-liver connection. And I think that is why so many conventional treatments fail and why people relapse and why their biphasic diet or their low FODMAP diet or specific carbohydrate diet might give them a little bit of symptom relief, but that doesn't mean that you've solved the root cause. And also just by taking, whether it's an antibiotic like rifaximin or herbal agents for your SIBO, if you are not looking at the repair of the mucosal tissue and supporting your liver and all of the LPS and detox, you would just come back to where you were before. And this is why a lot of times with our cases, we'll do liver gallbladder flushes. And I was talking with Dr. Pedre about this a few weeks ago. He loves liver gallbladder flushes. Yet other people are kind of like, nah, yeah, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. Well, you do need to do that. If your bile can't flow fluidly and you're full of stagnant bile or insufficient bile. So I'm loving that you're bringing this up. You know, obviously I'm going to nerd out on it as a practitioner, but for people listening, I think this is really important because you're probably saying things that Becca and I have said that nobody else is saying, even in the SIBO community, which I'm not quite sure I understand why. But yeah, I just love the gut liver connection that you're talking about here.
I would say I 100% agree with you. It's one of the biggest needle movers for us. It's where other people miss and we get massive results and then they wonder how. The liver, the liver is so big. The liver, the gallbladder, the bile ducts, look, your drainage pathways, the drainage pathways not being open is one of I think the single biggest missed area of healing where people are just putting too much emphasis on microbiome. All of it's so important, but they're just missing that. I've seen people get rid of symptoms they've had for 20 years. And the biggest thing we're doing is drainage. We had a girl who had colon cancer, then had consistent high-grade dysplasia, plus a calprotectin between 800 and 1,000, and had already failed 4 biologics. She was 30, okay? Colorectal cancer, partial surgery. She had already detoxed her house, like all the VOCs, the PCBs, the PFAs, all the fragrances, the paraben, all this stuff. She gotten rid of all of it. But it doesn't, just because you limit the dose doesn't mean you've actually cleaned up your liver, your lymphatic system, right? You've gotten the ability to properly poop out those toxins. You've dealt with biofilms. These are chemicals made by man that are foreign to the human divine body. Your body has a beautiful natural detox system, but it can't detox from these things. It can't properly detox from the chemicals, and it can't properly detox from the mold, the mycotoxins. And the dysbiosis, SIBO, yes, you are constant. Your liver is being hit, but endotoxemia every single day. There is die-off with LPSs every single day when you have that dysbiosis. One of my friends, she passed away a while ago, but she was amazing. She healed multiple sclerosis and helped other people heal it. From wheelchair, completely remission. Her name was Anne Baroque. She wrote the diet called the anti-Candida diet. And she passed away years ago, but she was a good friend of mine. And I used to talk to her about her root cause with MS and being stuck in a wheelchair versus IBD. And we talk about these correlations. And she would say that when there's dysbiosis, it just leads to an avalanche of other root issues happening. And one of the problems is she believed that people with this autoimmune, their microbiome couldn't stabilize like a normal person. So like if me and you have this IBD or this GI issues, we go on an anti-Candida diet, it helps. We get fixed, it helps. But when stress comes up, when the eating habits get a little worse, or just even life, the dysbiosis continues to go up because our gut can't control it. It's not that you're trying to kill something. It's like you're trying to balance something. We don't have the keystone microbiota. We don't have the diversity and the strength of diversity to keep the microbiome in balance. That's the crutch that's happening with the chronically sick. We can't get it back in balance. You can kill. It just keeps going back up. Mm-hmm. That's where you have to be looking at. That's why I still believe a lot in fibers, prebiotics, polyphenols, a lot of fermented foods. I go beyond. A probiotic supplement will have X amount of value, but you need to be considering looking at kefirs and fermented foods and yogurts. And you got to play around with that on how you respond to whey or casein or lactose. And you got to work that in. But, things like L-reuteri could be really helpful for SIBO. And I think it creates a mass diversity. You need to know what you're doing. You can have severe histamine reactions that can mess you up if you don't know what you're doing. So I could see some of you guys laughing about this. Look, there are levels to this. There is a black belt level. You have to slowly work up and you have to do it right. Okay, titrate low and slow. And then you have to sample. You have to know your own body. If you don't do the foundational work we're talking about today, I can't take you to Bruce Lee mode. I can't be doing backflip swings at you. Like, you got to be able to show me, you know your body, you know what's happening. We see what's happening in your lab work. And even lab work has areas where we can't put everything in the lab work. It's only a little bit of a North Star that might be off. Like, I had an actress I was working in New York and her root issue was H. pylori, but she kept testing negative for it. biofilms, upper GI issues. Stool analysis only checked the lower colon. That's where the fecal matter is seeing. So if you have really high up GI issues, I don't take any test very, very seriously with stomach or jejunum, like this duodenum area. Like I kind of just go based on what the labs, I look at the labs, I look at the symptoms, I look at potential root issues. She was covered in ulcerations in the upper GI. The doctors wouldn't allow her not to use biologics to get pregnant with her husband. And so this was devastating to her. And she had done work for years, all the work. And we just treated that H. pylori as if it was there, nice, low and slow, little mastic gum, a little aloe, deglycerized licorice root. Then we used a little wild of oregano. We topped it off with a little TB500 and BPC when she was ready. Then we used a little bit of, fasting and a lot of binders, a little bit of activated charcoal, a little fulvic and humic acid, and all of a sudden, 3 months later, she gets her next CT scan. They couldn't find a sign of Crohn's disease. Not a sign. From the best doctors in New York City. She calls me crying, like, I've been working on this for 3 years, 90 days. I just got a perfect scan. We're getting people back to back, getting normal colonoscopies. And that's hard. That's really hard to do. Guys, that is very hard. And it's not guaranteed. Okay. And it's not like a McDonald's drive-through of healing. Like it's really hard. So, but I love that. The lymph, okay, you got to treat the drainage. Everyone write this down. The 5 drainage pathways. You got to hit the lymph, the liver, the kidneys. You got to be able to poop properly and you got to be able to sweat. I see so many women who say they never sweat and they can't sweat. You tell me you can't sweat. I'm telling you can't detox.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Especially mycotoxins and heavy metals.
The very first thing we do with clients, I don't care if you want to work your gut. If you cannot poop, if you cannot sweat, we're not touching the gut. We'll support it, but like we need to get you detoxing before we even touch that. And the gut is the immune system. Like it's SIBO, all of these problems are not gut problems. They are immune problems. They become immune problems. And so we have to address it from a much broader spectrum than antimicrobials and probiotics. Like it is such a bigger picture. And I love that there are more people out there doing this because we'll be honest, like we've seen a handful. It's not everyone. It's so many people, and I'm sure you see this too. People come to us from other practitioners, and we look at what they've been doing. They're like, "What are you doing? Of course you haven't gotten better." Oh my gosh!
You guys are awesome.
We're taking you off all of this. We are supporting. Supporting bio.
An ND putting someone on biocide and they have no experience. It's like. Yeah, it just puts you on one of the strongest anti-biofilm. It's like an atom bomb in a pond that doesn't flow. It's crazy. You're going to feel drainage. You're right. Like if we just work drainage, so many people will feel better and it's low risk. Yeah. You can Herx. I see people, we use a lot of Cellcore. You can Herx on kale support. You can Herx on high NAC. I see people Herx on castor oil packs, especially if they add in, I use a little DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide. Yeah. Right. And so it's like, I got to plan it. Right. And then are we going to use coffee enemas and how do you do that properly? And how are we going to work that liver? And are we going to do gallstone treatment? And, do we think there's, kidney stones or calcification issues? And, it's a chess match and you have to play it right. And 9 times out of 10, I don't need to hurt someone to get them better. 9.2 out of 10. I see some people just being like, go through hell to get to heaven. I know some people do that with more severe cases, which I'm sure they have to, like Lyme and a few other things, but we don't.
You're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have exposures to things and high stress times and all of these things that symptoms might pop back up a little bit. But the goal is not to just be asymptomatic. The goal is to be resilient. Yes. The goal is to get you to a place where you can handle those things and not regress in symptoms. And that takes time. That's going to take time. Like, especially with really layered complex cases, which I'm sure obviously you deal with as well. Yeah. So I would love for you to, because I know we're buttoned up against time. I'd love for you to tell people where they can find you and what program you do and the SHIELD program and what this entails, because I'm sure, you've spoken to a lot of people via this podcast here today. And I know that people want to be like, where can I find out more information? This sounds like me,
Can I quickly tell people also what were the root issues I found just in myself being in a severe case? Because I want to give people the juice, right? I really want to. And I know there's so much to say. It's hard to wrap it up in one podcast. And I'll tell you a little bit if you want to find us. And guys, make sure if you want to work with us, we do a free IBD session to talk with you. Make sure you click the link here. Support the Health Revival Show. Thank them for having me on. Please share this, like this, because it really matters. And they were so gracious to have me on today. But the things, when I was chronically sick, it was layered of pathogens. Remember, it's not just one thing. There are layers to it. If you know you have Candida and you go to attack that, you may get worse. To what we're just saying here, you have to prep your body to be able to fix itself, okay? The mind, the nervous system, then drainage pathways, and you slowly open that up, low and slow. Write that down. Always low dose, always move slowly, and don't be scared to pulse where you take some days off, okay? And then, so for me, it was constantly adding up. I had Blastocystis hominis and Cyclospora parasites. Cytomegalovirus is what nearly killed me. And what I find that works with CMV almost always going back is some kind of fungal load, mold or Candida. Now, I had massive amounts of Candida albicans in a non-invasive quantitative PCR stool test that my doctors never checked for 5 years. So I know we were talking about that, but just even check. I mean, if you're working with a practitioner, you can start doing the things where you don't have to spend the money necessarily. But in the beginning, just do a non-invasive stool test, do an organic acid test. That can really help. Look at some just simple blood work. Ask your doctor for your vitamin D and your CRP, your SED rate, your ASCA, your PANCA, all these different things to check antibodies. But I had massive amounts of Candida sitting right in my stool test. Viral load. I found it. And then I treated it. I used ELISpot technology because the doctors are only checking the IgG and the IgM, but they really need to check the IgA, which is the local mucosa antibody reaction. Okay, that's what enteroviruses tend to cause the IgA to go up, or ELISpot. I work with Dr. Arman in Germany. He created a custom plan for us specifically for viruses and bacteria for the gut. The 6 viruses: Coxsackie virus, CMV virus, Echovirus, Epstein-Barr virus, herpes simplex virus, and varicella virus are the 6 we check. And so the virus, the Candida, and then obviously bacterial overgrowth. Whenever you have dysbiosis, whenever you have a GI, you're going to have overgrowth. Remember, you're not trying to get rid of a lot of bacteria. You're trying to get it back in check. It's about balance, not necessarily eradication. But I had C. diff multiple times. I had a terribly backed up liver. That's why I was covered in cystic acne. From all the prednisone and the antibiotics, my liver was so bad. And that was also causing a lot of mental problems and anxiety, and I couldn't sleep because I was so intoxicated with things. And then I found a bit of heavy metals. Those were the main things. You go after the pathogens, you get back in balance, but you do it right. You do it with practitioners like these lovely ladies who can help change your life. And if I'm right for you and I'm an integrity for you, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure you get empowered and healed. And the name of our website is Crohn's Colitis Lifestyle. We deal specifically with people IBD. We do work with some people with IBS. What makes us unique is we customize everyone's plan. No one gets generic. We work with vegans or meat eaters, whatever you want. And all of our practitioners have IBD ourselves. So we have it, beat it, we specialize on it. We see about 140 IBD clients a week, and we work in every continent: Africa, India, Australia, all over ages. I'm not going to say we've done ages. I've worked with as young as 3 years old personally, and then people who've had this for 40 years even. But get empowered. You can heal. I hope today was massively impactful for you, and you took away some critical notes. Become the CEO of your health. I believe 100% you can do this.